Restaurant glowed under the golden evening light. Soft jazz floating through the air, laughter and crystal clinks echoing beneath chandeliers. It was the kind of place where billionaires came to close deals, where luxury whispered in every detail. But amidst the polished marble and sparkling wine glasses, one girl stood out, not because she didn't belong, but because she seemed to hold her own magic. Her name was Amara, a 22-year-old waitress with tired eyes that still carried the brightness of dreams she had no time to chase. Her uniform was neat but worn, her ponytail tidy yet modest. While the world saw her as just another server, Amara carried a universe inside her, a quiet storm of resilience, dignity, and brilliance that no one could see. Tonight, that storm was about to be unleashed. Before we dive into this powerful moment, don't forget to like this video, comment your thoughts, and subscribe to Exposed Tales, where every story uncovers the truth behind arrogance, kindness, and human strength. It was a Thursday night, busy, loud, and filled with people who believed the world revolved around their wealth. At table 12 sat Mr. Leonard Carrington, one of the richest men in the city. His name alone could make investors tremble and politicians smile. He had built empires, bought companies, and crushed competitors, and he had the ego to match. Amara approached his table with a calm smile, balancing 2 glasses of champagne. "Good evening, sir. Would you like to start with?" He interrupted without looking at her. "Water. And tell your manager not to send me children to serve. I need someone who can at least understand basic instructions." Amara froze for a second, her hand steady despite the sting of his tone. "Of course, sir," she replied politely. Across the table sat a few business executives, men and women in tailored suits who exchanged uneasy glances. One of them, a young woman named Rachel, shifted uncomfortably. She had been a waitress once too. Amara turned to leave, but Mr. Carrington wasn't done. "Wait," he said, his voice carrying across nearby tables. "Where did you study, girl? Or did you?" The room went silent for a moment. Laughter died down. The jazz faded into the background. Even the air seemed to pause. Amara turned back slowly, her brown eyes soft but steady. "I didn't go to college, sir. I'm saving up for it." Carrington smirked, leaning back. "Ah, that explains it. These days everyone thinks they can skip education and still be something. But you see, when knowledge makes you valuable, without it, you're just replaceable." A few people chuckled quietly, the kind of laughter that stung more than insults. But Amara didn't flinch. She smiled, not out of submission, but because she had learned long ago that dignity was the loudest response to cruelty. The night went on, and Amara continued to serve tables, her composure flawless. She brought Mr. Carrington's food, refilled his glass, and cleaned up with grace. Every move she made was calm, deliberate, and respectful. But her silence carried weight, a silence that unsettled him. By the time dessert was served, a French investor joined Carrington's table, a man named Pierre Lafont, who spoke with a thick accent. The two began to discuss a multi-million-dollar hotel deal in Paris. But there was a problem. Pierre's translator hadn't arrived. He struggled with English, fumbling through words while Carrington grew impatient. "Ugh, this is ridiculous," Carrington groaned. "Someone get me a translator or this deal is over." No one moved. The restaurant manager wasn't around, and the few French-speaking staff were off duty. Carrington slammed his hand on the table. "Is no one here educated enough to help?" Amara stood nearby, holding a tray. She hesitated for a moment, then stepped forward. "If I may, sir, I speak French." He looked up, annoyed. "You please? This isn't about ordering croissants." Pierre, however, smiled with relief. "Parlez-vous France, Mademoiselle?" Amara nodded. "Oui, monsieur. Je parle français couramment." "Yes, sir, I speak French fluently." Her pronunciation was flawless, smooth, native-like. Pierre's eyes widened. "Incroyable! Très bien." Carrington's smirk faded slightly as Amara began translating. Her words flowed effortlessly, bridging the language barrier as if she were born to do it. Within minutes, the tension at the table dissolved. The conversation grew lively, and laughter returned. But it didn't end there. A few minutes later, a Japanese investor joined in, Mr. Tanaka, who spoke little English but had come to discuss another potential partnership. Once again, Carrington panicked. Before anyone could react, Amara bowed slightly and greeted him. "Good evening, Mr. Tanaka. It's an honor to meet you." The entire table froze. Carrington blinked. "What did you just?" She just greeted him perfectly in Japanese. Pierre whispered, Astonished, Mr. Tanaka beamed, responding in Japanese. The two exchanged a few polite sentences while Carrington sat speechless, watching the waitress he had insulted now conduct international diplomacy right in front of him. But Amara wasn't finished yet. A German banker leaned in, amused. Und Sie sprechen auch Deutsch, Frau Uhlen. And do you speak German? Miss Amara smiled. Ich spreche Deutsch sehr gut. Yes, I speak German very well. Then, turning to another guest who was Italian, she continued in Italian, perfectly rolling her R's. Sei un piacere servirvi questa sera. Signor. It's a pleasure to serve you this evening, sir. By now the entire restaurant had fallen silent. Even the band had stopped playing. All eyes were on her, the uneducated waitress who just switched effortlessly between French, Japanese, German, and Italian. Finally, she turned back to Carrington, her voice steady but firm. And, sir, she said, this time in crisp English, language is also knowledge. It's the kind that doesn't need a degree to prove its worth. The words hung in the air, heavy, undeniable. A few seconds passed before applause erupted, first from Pierre, then from Mr. Tanaka, then the entire restaurant. People rose from their seats, clapping, cheering. Even some of Carrington's own executives smiled proudly. Carrington sat there, red-faced, staring down at his plate. The arrogance that once filled his voice was gone. He finally muttered, You speak all those languages." Amara nodded. "And Arabic too, sir." "That makes 5. "Where did you learn all that?" he asked quietly. "From people," she replied. "From customers, travelers, books I borrowed from the library, and free online courses at night. Knowledge isn't only in universities, it's in curiosity, humility, and effort." Her words struck deeper than any insult ever could. Carrington slowly stood, adjusted his jacket, and extended his hand. "Miss Amara, I owe you an apology, and perhaps a job offer." But Amara smiled gently and shook her head. "Thank you, sir. I already have a dream. I'm saving to build a language school for kids who can't afford one, so no child has to feel small for not having a degree yet." The crowd clapped again, louder this time. Some even had tears in their eyes. The billionaire who once mocked her now looked at her as if she were the richest person in the room. If this story moved you, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to Exposed Tales. Every story here reminds us that respect has no price tag, and sometimes the greatest education comes not from privilege, but from perseverance. As the night ended and Amara stepped outside, the city lights reflected in her eyes. She inhaled deeply, the cool air brushing against her face. Behind her, the whispers had turned into admiration. Ahead of her, the world felt wide open, limitless, like the languages she carried in her heart. Somewhere inside that golden restaurant, a billionaire had learned humility. And outside, a waitress walked home, knowing she had taught him something no money could ever buy. Because true intelligence isn't spoken in one language. It's spoken through kindness, courage, and the strength to rise above disrespect. Billionaire calls waitress, Uneducated. She replies in 5 languages and silences the room.